friends. Today we are going to talk about viruses. Do I see a concern on your face? Well, let me ask you a question that many of us have asked ourselves these days. When India had only 513 cases, we were put under lockdown. Seems like such a huge overreaction, shutting down a whole country for just 513 cases? Well, my name is Himanshi and I will help you understand the why behind this reaction. Join me and my friends as we use maths to help you see into the world of viruses. Let me start by telling you a story my grandmother once told me. Once there was an Indian king. The king was a big chess enthusiast and had the habit of challenging wise visitors to a game of chess. Once, a travelling sage was challenged by the king. To motivate his opponent, the king offered any reward that the sage could name. The sage modestly asked for a few grains of rice in the following manner. 1 grain should be placed on the first box and should be doubled on the every consequent one. Having lost the game and being a man of his word, the king ordered a bag of rice to be brought to the chessboard. He then started placing the rice grains according to the arrangement. 1 grain on the first box, 2 on the second, 4 on the third, 8 on the fourth, and so on. These were the number of rice grains placed on each box. I have just wrote the number till the 20th box. But by the 20th box only you can see that the number of rice grains has risen to 5,24,288. So just imagine how much the number would have grown till the 64th box. But now you will ask, what does this story have to do with viruses? As I continue on with the rest of my piece, I challenge you to figure it out. Else I will tell you at the end. Now, the main thing you need to know about viruses when you're studying its maths part is its R naught, or the rate of reproduction. How do we measure this rate of reproduction? R naught is the short form for basal reproductive rate. It tells us that how many people can one infected person infect. Now, how does this help us? Actually, it helps us in predicting that how many people can get infected in how much time when everyone can get the virus or infection. In this way, it also tells us that how infectious the disease is. Now let me tell you a story on viruses. Once there were 3 virus friends. The first one's name was swine flu and its R naught, or the rate of reproduction, was 1. The second one's name was MERS and its R naught, or the rate of reproduction, was 0.5. The third friend's name was Corona and its R naught was 3. Now, one day all 3 of them broke out into a fight. Their fight was on who was the most powerful and successful virus. They fought for a long time and finally decided to work hard on multiplying themselves and then compare with each other. So, as they worked hard, the number of infected people's chain by swine flu looked like this. One person would infect the second one would infect the third one would infect the fourth one, and it would keep going on like that. MERS also worked very hard and its line, or the chain, became like this. One person took a bit of long time to infect the second person. The second person took little bit more time than the first person to infect the next one. The third person tried very hard to infect, but the infection stopped. That means that the spreading of the infection, or the virus MERS, stopped. Now, Corona, though it did not work very hard, still its chain became like this. One person would infect 3 other people. Those 3 people would infect 3 more people each, and the chain would go on like that. Now this was because of the R naught. Now let me show you another way of seeing how many people are infected. You can see the number of infected people's line looks straight. So we can call this line as linear. And because this line becomes linear because of the R0 1, thus we can call this R0 or the rate of reproduction 1 as linear. Now, let's see what happens to the line if the R0 is less than 1. So we can see that the line goes below 0. So a disease with a R0 of less than 1 does not seem to be much of a problem, while the one with an R0 of 1 looks a bit serious. Now let us consider what happens if the R0 of the virus is greater than 1. Say it is 3. You can see that the line is growing very fast, is rising very fast, and the numbers on the side are in 5,000s, are multiples of 5,000. So you can see just by the 8th turn, 5,000 new number of infected people is crossed, and by the 10th turn, the cumulative of the infected people has reached to 30,000. So you can just imagine how rapidly the number of infected people grows with the R0 of 3. Now I will tell you the R0 or the rate of reproduction of COVID-19, also called as SARS-CoV-2 these days. The R0 of COVID-19 or SARS-CoV-2 is 3. Let me also show you how the number of infected people grows with the R0 of 3. You can see how the numbers are growing. Now, the first turn starts when the first person gets infected and starts infecting other people. The second turn starts when those other people get infected and start infecting more people. And this goes on. Now, let's see the chart form for that. This is a bit easier to see as the lines represent how rapidly that grows. The number of infected people grows. Now let's see how the numbers increase when we change the R0 from 3 to 2, that is reduce the actual R0 by 1. You can see in this table how the numbers are decreasing. That is like the cumulative in the 6th turn where the R0 was 3, the cumulative in the 6th turn was 354. But with the R0 or the rate of reproduction 2, the cumulative in the 6th turn over here is just 63. This is a chart form for that. How rapidly they grew in the first R0, that is a R0 3, and how they decreased by just reducing 1, that is making the R0 2 from 3. Let me point out another interesting thing. Do you see how the number of people infected in each turn is greater than all the people who were infected before? In turn 3, 9 new people were infected, but one turn earlier, only 4 were. The same is true in turn 6, where 233 people were infected. But the sum of all the people infected to turn 5 is only 121. Scary, isn't it? Now let's see at what turn was the number of infected people before lockdown. Well, the actual number of infected people before lockdown were 513. But as per the table that I had shown you before, there were no 513 infected people in any turn. So we can just estimate 513 to 729, the number of infected people in the 7th turn. Now let's see what the number can go up to in just a few turns if we don't do anything. Well, the number of infected people in 10th turn by the 10th turn can reach to 19,683, and the cumulative can reach to 29,524. So now can you see why it made sense to lock down the country even when the number of cases were only 513? But now you will be having a question. The question will be, if the number of infected people keeps growing like this, how will we overcome this virus? And how have we overcome other diseases like this? for which we didn't have any cures also, just like we don't have a cure for this disease? Well, this question of yours will be answered by my friends in the next video. But before going, I would like to answer the question which I had asked you while telling you the story of those rice grains and chessboard. The answer to that question was exponential growth. Those rice grains were representing exponential growth by doubling themselves in each round, and same was the R naught of a certain disease represent. Well, thank you for watching this video, and I hope you learned something new today.